a function satisfying these three properties are called is called a norm on this vector space. Now considering the vector space X with such a norm, this is called a norm linear space. In short, we may write as NLS or NLS. Now, in that process, there's one thing that we have learned. That's as an example. If I consider the set of all real numbers with usual addition and scalar multiplication over the reals, and that's a vector space, and in that I am defining the norm with the modulus. Okay. So we try to show that this is actually a non-linear space. So we were discussing that see, most of the places the real issue is of course we need to check all the three properties of norm. Modulus is satisfying the properties of the norm. But in general also, if at all I'm checking something is a norm, the real problem most of the times happens these places. So checking this and checking this. We have given some name also. So the first property we call, first part of the first property is called non-negative or positive. Second property is called definiteness, the second part of first one. The second property is called homogeneous. The third property we called it as triangle inequality. So in those words, most of the places the problem will be finding checking whether the given norm is definite, the given function, and whether it is satisfying the triangle inequality. Yesterday, though we have done, I just want to quickly check the third property for the modulus so that you are aware of what is expected when you want to really prove. So what we need to check is for all x and y, the third property I'm checking now. In this case, is that for all x and y from the real numbers, I want to prove this. Okay. And yesterday, as we already observed, modulus of real number has two definitions, but I said that I would prefer to use the definition as the following. So by definition, I will consider mod x means maximum of x and minus x. So this is the definition that I will take. There is also alternate definition, as somebody pointed out. This is case wise when x is positive, it is x when it is minus x when x is negative. At 0 it's 0, you can write even that. So it is 0 when x is 0, and we can write strict inequality. Okay, so these are the two definitions we have. As I said that I would prefer this definition. So in that sense, if I want to show that for all x and y, this inequality is true, remember this kind of ideas will keep on recurring in this whole course. That's why I am doing this little slow, so that you are aware of what we are doing. So to show that mod of x plus y is less than or equal to mod x plus mod y, do you agree with me that if I show the left hand side is mod of x plus y, that means by definition it is maximum of x plus y or minus of x plus y, which is minus x minus y. So if I show that each of them is less than this right hand side, then I can conclude maximum of these two also less than or equal to mod x plus mod y. Is the idea clear? If it is clear, then say yes. Good. So that's what we will do now. So I'll start with say x plus y. And what I know the connection between x and mod x. So this is going to be, since mod x is maximum of x and minus x, so it has to be bigger than x as well as minus x, and then you will get this. And y also has to be less than or equal to mod y, because by definition, remember I'm using only the definition. For mod y, it is maximum of y and minus y, so it has to be bigger than y. This I can get it. Now I'll also look at this, see that it is the same. So minus x is surely bigger than, less than or equal to mod x. Minus y is also less than or equal to mod y from the definition. Now I have these two. So each of them is less than this. So this is again a recurring theme, is what I want to emphasize. So if I show that each of the term x plus y and minus x plus y is less than some number, then maximum also will be less than or equal to that number. So forget the right hand side, they are saying it is some constant, kind of consider it as a constant. So x plus y is less than p, and minus of that number is also less than p, and hence modulus of that number has to be less than or equal to p. So these two will imply modulus of. So right now with this modulus, you may think it is unnecessarily complicating, but this is going to be a kind of recurring thing. So that proves the triangle inequality. So this proves. And to get the definiteness, note that you will be using this notion. I would leave it as an exercise. There is something called law of trichotomy. All it says is that if you give me any real number, either x is positive or x is 0 or x is negative. Okay, it looks like simple, but this is, you can never this you cannot deduce it. It's an axiom that we are taking it up. Okay. So this is called law of trichotomy, and this R is actually mutually exclusive R. That means one of the one only can happen. Either it will be positive, strictly bigger than 0, or equal to 0, or strictly less than 0, which is straight. We've been assuming this. In fact, it is assumed. It's not derived from something else. So use this just to prove the definiteness of models. That means this second part of the first property. Okay. Now let's go with. So at least for quite few classes, we'll be concentrating more on examples, and in the process we will also try to understand what is the elements inside, because later it's kind of understanding the ground. Okay, it's essentially knowing the ground what you are playing. Okay, some kind of pitch report if you want. So the next vector space that I want to look at is that immediate extension of this, which I'll call it as Rn. Okay. Just a minute. Okay. Again, are you all familiar with what is the addition? Are you all familiar with what is the addition in Rn? Good. So how do we define? Uh, Aravind?
So am I audible?
Yes,
Yeah. So addition of individual coordinates.
correct. So it's, if I take x1, x2, xn, and another element as y1, y2, yn, and the addition is defined to be x1 plus y1 and so this is the addition, which we can give a name. It's called coordinate wise. Okay. Coordinate wise. And what about a scalar multiple of this? Is defined as Arvind?
So multiplying each coordinate by the scalar.
So this is how we define the addition and the scalar multiplication. So I assume this is where linear algebra you might have done. This is a vector space. Okay. So once you have if you are aware of this, this is a vector space. Now we are trying to define a norm. So the norm that I want to define, it should be a function from, of course, Rn to R. So how I am defining, the definition is this: norm of, again this is we have to be a little more right now. From here onwards we'll make sure this abstract thinking also. So when I write norm of x, it means an element of Rn, but any element of Rn is actually n tuple. So when I'm writing this, it means actually this, because soon for any general vector space we may say that let x belongs to x, but we should be able to interpret what is this x appropriately. So this norm I want to define in this fashion, that is there is one obvious norm that you can define. I'm not going to define that right now. I want to define as this. So what I have done, I look at each coordinate and take the modulus value and I sum all the absolute value of the coordinates. Sum of the absolute value of coordinates. Is the definition of norm clear? We have defined only a function now. We have to check if it is actually a norm. So whenever you come across such a new definition, please go through in your mind with few examples. Are you able to really find out what is the norm? For example, if I take all coordinates to be 1, what is the norm? If you know the answer, then say yes. Yeah. So Bhumi, can you answer? What is the norm?
The norm is n
The
for
norm is
Rn.
yes. Okay. So that's the norm, and I hope you are familiar with what is known as standard basis in Rn. So just check in your mind what is the norm of those standard basis. If you could do it. then say yes. Okay. I hope all of you got the norm to be just 1. Okay. So what is the En? So maybe I'll write it. So what is Ei? It is zeros and 0 at the ith place and remaining, sorry, 1 at the ith place and remaining place are 0. Okay. So E1 means first coordinate is 1 and remaining coordinates are 0. These are called standard bases, again you might have done. So for all of them the norm is actually 1. Now you all, I'll give an extra exercise for you to think just in your mind. Can you think of a vector whose norm is okay? So this is how the function is defined. So as I said that I'll ask you to think. Can you think of a vector in Rn with non-zero entries? Not just only one entry is non-zero, at least more than one entry is non-zero, and with norm as C3. If you could get, then say yes.
Sir, can you repeat your question? What will be the norm?
I want norm of the vector to be 3.
Oh, 3.
3. Okay. Now this I am doing only once, but whenever we come across such new function and definition, please make sure that you are trying with few examples so that the definition is a little closer to you and familiar to you. Right. Thank you. So all that I need to check is that each of this property. Jayant, were you saying about Harsh?
Yes, sir.
Now he has come to waiting room and I allowed him.
Okay.
Okay. So now, is it clear that non-negativeness is immediate? If you think yes. Good. Okay, so this I leave it, you can check. What about definiteness? One part is clear. What is the 0 here? It's all coordinates are 0. That is the 0. In terms of vector space language, it is the additive identity. So if all coordinates are 0, look at the definition, it says the norm is 0. Now, if the norm is 0, how do we conclude the vector is 0? That means you need to say that each coordinate is actually 0. So let's go slow and argue correctly. So it is given to me that this sum, whatever I've highlighted, that is equal to 0 when I'm saying that norm x is 0. So that will imply these are all non-negative terms and this sum is 0. That means each of them has to be 0. And so you get for all I 1 to n, mod of xi will be 0. But again, go back to the fact that if mod xi is 0, we have to conclude xi has to be 0. But mod xi is by definition, it is maximum of xi or maximum of xi or minus xi. Okay. If that is given to be 0, so it has to be 0 because x is also less than or equal to 0, minus x is also less than or equal to 0, and law of trichotomy concludes that x has to be 0. Okay. Right. So what about homogeneous? If you could see that. So don't say that yes, it will be true. Just go through the proof. It's just one line kind of proofs what is happening. By definition, model norm of alpha x is coordinate wise alpha alpha everywhere. That definition tells me it is modulus of alpha times x1 plus modulus of alpha x2, and last term is modulus of alpha xn. And use the property modulus of alpha into x1 is nothing but modulus of alpha into x1. And you are doing this in every coordinate. And mod alpha is common, you push out, and what rest of the things if you group, you will get back the norm x, and hence it is norm of alpha x is modulus of alpha into norm x. Okay. What about triangle inequality? I'm clearing it out. So we need to check norm of x plus y is less than or equal to norm of x plus norm of. That's what we need to check. Yeah. Yeah, Siddhant,
Yes, sir.
are we using any, to get this inequality, are you using the triangle inequality of modulus?
Since it is a coordinate-wise addition, first we will write is that summation mod of xi plus yi for I 1 to n.
Yes.
Then this mod of xi plus yi using the triangle inequality, you can write mod xi plus mod yi.
Right, right. I understood. So are we using the triangle inequality of modulus
Yes.
in the case of R?
Yes.
Yes, yes, that's it. Okay. So as he was saying that maybe it is time to maybe say this also. So this in short we can also write this, just an extra notation. That's it. Equal to one thing. These are same. Okay. So all of you observed that to prove this triangle inequality, to prove the triangle inequality, you will be using triangle inequality of modulus. Okay, and real numbers. Okay, and so we have verified everything, and hence it becomes a norm. So how do I write? So this is a norm on this vector space, and hence, so this Rn with this norm. There is a extra notation. We specifically use the reason will be clear a little while. This norm we denote it with the suffix 1. So we call it as this is a non-linear space. So this is actually a non-linear space. That much we have verified. I leave a geometric question. Suppose if I have 2 points in the plane. Okay. Okay, otherwise just 1 point. Let us not worry about 2 points now. So I take 1 point here, and I am asking the question, what is this now? So if it is x1 comma x2 is the coordinate, very particularly R2, then what is this norm? It is actually the x coordinate modulus and y coordinate modulus. That means this distance, so this distance modulus and this distance. So this plus this. So in other words, it's some kind of you are traveling. You are allowed to travel only in straight lines, and then you are adding all the total length. So it is a kind of length that you are moving from one house of a street to the other house of the street, or if you are at the origin, and if the streets are straight, then if you are allowed to only go through the streets, then there's a longer distance. It's not the typical distance that you look at between 2 points. Now in this case, it is from the origin. Okay, we'll come back to this little later if you don't understand right now. So I also want to include another. So is the example and things are clear now? Then we'll go ahead with the third one. Good, thank you. So,
Sir,
yeah,
sir, sum of two norm function is always a norm function.
sum of
Two norm function is will be a norm function. I mean, here modulus is a norm function, right? On
but
R.
model is a norm function where?
On R.
On R, yes.
Yes. Then we are using like modulus of sum of two modulus as such as this norm we are defining. Then
Okay, so
is it working like a norm?
I understood. So I am what to say that rephrasing his question, and then others can answer. Suppose Rn is something like n copies of R. So if my vector space is constructed out of some copies of another vector spaces, and if there is a norm on these individual component vector spaces, if I take the sum of them, is it a norm on the final product? Is the question clear? Is that the question that you're asking?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
The Rn is constructed out of n copies of R, and each R modulus is a norm. And so I take some of these norms. That's what I took as a definition in the Rn case. And it turns out to be a norm. Do you think that this will always give you a norm? I'll clearing it out. So how many of you think yes, you will get a norm? First of all, if you understood the question, then say yes. Okay. Out of 35, around 30 have understood the question. And so what is your answer? Do you think that that will be a norm? I'm clearing it again. Do you think it's a norm? So it is like x is with some norm. So let us call x1 is with norm 1. x2 is with norm 2. Now I'm considering a new vector space which containing x1 first coordinate x1 cross x2, which is two coordinates. First coordinate is coming from x1, second coordinate is coming from x2. So that's a new vector space. That's easy because cross product of Cartesian product of vector space is also vector space. Vector addition you can define component wise. Scalar multiplication you can define by component wise. So it is a vector space. The norm of this new x, which is coordinates are x1, x2, is defined as norm of x1 comma x2 is norm 1 of x1 and norm 2 of x2. So whether this will be a norm is the question. And 15 of you think it is yes. Okay. What's your answer, Indrajit? What do you think now?
Sir, I think it will work, but I am not sure.
Okay, what is the problem? Non-negative will come.
Non-negative will come.
Okay, scalar multiple also will come.
Yes.
Definiteness
And,
also will give you.
okay, okay.
Okay, and now the real problem is maybe checking homogeneous also will come.
Yeah.
Now
Yes, yes.
triangle inequality also will come. Whatever you have done now, it is the same thing. Look at
Yes, 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 yes. It will come.
yeah.
Because component wise. Okay.
Yes, yes. So maybe third exercise, since we have done, maybe I will write it. So if x1 with some, this is one norm, and there is x2 with norm 2, some xk, k different vector spaces, and these are all different norms also. If you have, these are all norm linear spaces. Now define a new x which is coming out of this, and addition and scalar multiplication in a natural point wise, or what is called coordinate wise. By the way, somebody also asked that do we need to write down the note? It's up to you, but whatever I'm writing, I'm sending it to you. So you don't need to write. If you're exactly copying what I'm writing, don't do that. But keep a pen and paper with you in case if you need to do some small calculation to verify yourself, verify whether your thinking is right or wrong. Otherwise, as soon as I finish, I will send it to you. Okay. So this coordinate wise we have defined, and what is the norm? We are defining norm of any x. So by in this case now what is the x? X is having n coordinates, x1, x2, xk, k coordinates. We have taken k. So this is we defining it as x1 of this, x2 is coming from capital X2, so it is 2 now, and xk, where this is the kth term. In other words, it is summation of xi ith. And just now there are some people who are still difficulty in getting. Check that this is a no. Good. Then we are going ahead with the next vector space. So I consider the same Rn with as usual addition and multiplication. So when things are clear, I will not spell out explicitly what is the addition, what is the scalar multiplication. So I may just say that Rn. Slowly this will fade away. The context will make it clear what kind of addition and subtraction I'm using. Now I want to define another norm on this x. That's again norm of n coordinates. I want to define this to be taking modulus of each coordinate. Instead of adding, I want to look at the following. I will take maximum of this. So so quickly go through in your mind that is the first property true? If you say yes, check and then say yes. So in the proof, did you identify that if I take just the maximum of only coordinates, I won't get the non-negativity? The reason for modulus is clear, right? Same thing with the addition also. If I just add the coordinates, non-negative, I won't get it. That's why we are putting modulus. Okay, so this is fine, first part of that. What about definiteness? Okay, definiteness, is it clear? Again, this is a standard thing wherever in any of the course. Okay, if you want to check something, is it true for some n, always check for 2 and 3. Okay, sometimes it does that make a difference. 2, 3, 4 itself there will be a lot of difference, but at least make sure you are understanding for 2. So check for, consider it for 2 and then quickly go through. So maximum of 2 positive numbers is 0, which means each of them has to be 0, and you will get each coordinate is 0, right? So this is also fine. So the second part is also homogeneous is clear. Good. So what is the property that we are using? Previous case it was mod alpha were every there, and you are taking mod alpha. In the plus case, mod alpha you can take it out, and then remaining part if I again put together, you get norm of x. So in this case, the property that we are using is that if I take maximum of alpha of a number, non-negative number, alpha x1 and alpha x2 is same as alpha times maximum of x1 comma x2, assuming x1 etc are positive. So maximum of alpha times of x1 and x2 is same as alpha times maximum of x1 x2. So just identify what is the property that you are using. So that gives you this. I'm clearing it up. Good. What about triangle inequality? So you can see that there is a slow s. So maybe the reason is also natural. So we want to check this. So just write what it is. So what is the left hand side? It is maximum of, by addition, what is x plus y? X is n coordinates and y is also n coordinate, and n addition is defined coordinate wise. So it is so this is the left hand side, and you want to say that this is less than or equal to norm x plus norm y. Okay. And can you see that this idea is already repeating whatever we have done? Which means, is it clear that if I show the following, that if xi plus yi, if this is less than norm x plus norm y, and if this happens for all I am through. Is that clear? If I want to show this, then this is enough to show that. This is enough to show. But is that immediate? See, remember, this is again, okay. He's asking. I don't need any help. So, whenever we want to prove inequalities, note that we will be proving If I want to prove A is less than B, sometimes I may prove A is less than C, C is less than D, D is less than E, and E is less than D. So after all, we are trying to prove inequality. Sometimes we may go around. So just see that all that you need to observe. We want to prove this statement, whatever is here. But what I know is that xi plus yi is by the triangle inequality on the modulus. These are real numbers now. Is this. And notice that this is one of the element in that norm x. So maximum, if I consider, this will be less than or equal to maximum of all this. And similarly, this will be maximum of, which is same as saying norm x and norm y. Okay. And notice that we have not used the fact I anywhere. So it is true. Even if I call x1, still it is less than maximum of all the coordinates. And hence we have proved that this is true for all I. And hence we get maximum of all this also. This is less than this, which is actually norm of x plus 1. And hence we have established the triangle inequality. Is it clear for all of you? Good. But this kind of proof, whatever here we have went through, is just to making our mind to think in this direction, because later we want to do it this fashion. But we don't need to do this much in the case of n coordinates. The reason is the following. If I find out maximum of n coordinates, one of the coordinate is going to be the maximum. And hence actually you can argue the following. I want to show that norm of x plus y is less than or equal to norm x plus norm y. That means look at x plus norm of x plus y. That means maximum of the these coordinates. That's going to be at some place, because maximum of any n numbers, it's going to be one of the number in the set. So say this is the set, x2 plus y2. For that I know it is less than or equal to this. And hence I will get it immediately. Okay. That what I mean to say is that this maximum is going to be actually equal to some particular number here, one particular number. So for this set, the maximum is one of the element in the set, and hence it will work out. You can make the proof much more easy. Just hold on for a while. Just think about it, whatever proof I said. Okay. So if maximum of some certain numbers, if it is finite set, then maximum is going to be one of the element. That will help us to conclude things a little more faster. But the reason for doing in this fashion is that soon we are going to end up, a function is not just stopping with the finite dimensional vector spaces. We will be moving into infinite dimensional. So we should be aware of what is that we are trying to do. Okay, so this example we have discussed. And again, this example is something special. So I call this norm with again some symbol. It's called infinite. Okay. I denote with the suffix infinite. So what I'm saying here is Rn with this infinity norm, which is maximum of absolute value of the coordinates, is a nonlinear space. Now, now there is a natural question of what Indrajyoti has asked. Can you think of that question and then also the answer? When we discuss the example 2, Rn with this addition, then he asks certain question. 3. Now, can a similar question be asked for 4? There is only one who can think of. So Rn is built out of n copies of R, and in each R, modulus is the norm, but a new norm I have defined through the maximum. So one can ask the similar question. So I start with x1, x2, xn, and correspondingly there are norms like norm1, norm2, norm_n. And now I consider the Cartesian product of this x's, and now define the infinite norm of this x as maximum of norm of x1 of 1 norm, norm of x2 of norm 2, and norm of xn of nth norm. And can you see that that also will be a norm? Good, at least some of you could think and then get it. So the third example is actually a kind of extension of 2. If I call this as 2 dash, if this is 4, you can ask actually find out what is 4 dash. So there's an exercise you can think what is 4 dash. But there are further quick things that we want to learn. Okay, good. You can think about this in the discussion time. So just notice few things I want you to observe. So the first question is, can you see that on the same vector space we can have two different norms? Right. Because in Rn we have already defined a one norm, which is through taking the summation of all the coordinates, and now we are defined on the same Rn taking the maximum of the coordinates. So on the same vector space you can have two different norms. Of course, I need to make sure that when I'm saying that what do you mean by two different norms, at least for some element there exists at least one element in Rn for which norm of norm, if I find out into these different norms, its value has to be different. For all x, if both norms are coinciding, it is just writing the same norm. And can you think of a vector where one norm is different from infinite norm? Is the question clear? Find out an element in Rn where one norm of that is different from infinite norm. Yeah, Srujana, can you answer? Can you give that element in Rn?
Yeah, all ones.
So all ones, if you take in one norm, its value is
N.
n.
And in infinite norm, it is 1.
It is just 1. Good. Okay. So here the question that you can think that find out all vectors in Rn such that this just the ulta question. Okay. Find out all those vectors in Rn for which these two norms actually coincide. Okay. This you can think as an exercise and do it later. Let me also quickly say that since the norm is used, one notation and then we'll stop. That is this set is something very special. So set of all x in Rn such that norm of x1 is equal to 1. That means all those vectors whose lengths are 1. Okay. So check what is this. Of course, you can use the same question for infinite norm also, and try to plot these points in the case of R2. So plot in special case when n is equal to 2, and if possible try to do it for 3 also. Okay. Okay, so now I'll ask some questions. You can think. Now, for every Rn, I can do this. So, can I go ahead and define for why only n copies of R? Maybe if I take infinitely many copies of R, can I still define these norms? These are questions that you can think. So, instead of taking only n copies, that means finitely many copies, I take infinitely many copies of R. Though it is not a correct way to write, something like R infinity. And can I still define this norm? And whether they will be actually norm in that place. Is the question clear? If the question is clear, then say yes. So you allow yourself to think. This is a kind of thinking exercise. No need to discuss in the discussion time. So now we'll quickly break for discussion, and maybe around 15 to 20 minutes I will allow you for to discuss. But from the discussion, don't go back immediately. Don't leave the meeting. You come back and I will have a small poll and a small questions based on whatever we have done today, and answer that, and then you leave it. Is that clear? So as I said that the idea is just to go through if there is any blank, any gap in the material that we have covered in this class, and make sure that you understood the basic definition and the way that we are manipulating, and don't assume that it works out. Go through the proof very systematically, because once we move to infinite dimension, these ideas has to be repeating. So make sure that you understand step by step what is happening. So the one way of doing is that one of you can start with the proof or ask the questions, and others can answer, and if there is some doubt, you can clear among yourself. So make use of this time. So in this sense, I will leave little homework for you to take away. Very little I will leave it, if you can actively use this discussion time.